to ask about different things that they've been wanting to ask about and to report different things that they wanted to report. Oh, hey, my favorite person is on, John, Honeysucker. And so, oh, well, Miss Haynes, is Tammy's here. Okay, Glenda. Yeah, so we're getting more people. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so this is one of my favorite meetings because it gives you all a chance to ask questions that you about things you've been wanting to know. We're going to have somebody here from the Friends of Mill Ridge Park, and they are going to talk to you about the construction progress of the park, and some of the different activities. There are a lot of different activities that you all may not know about that go on there that we can go and take part in and bring our families and stuff. So he's going to talk about that some, and what you all can do if you want to help with anything. I also have someone here from the Metro Police, and they're going to talk about, we always have a conversation about all of that crazy speeding, the noise that we hear around. And some of the speeding can be like a mile away, but if it's at night when no noise is there, you hear it and it sounds like it's in your backyard. So he's going to talk about that and what's going on with that, because you know they were having a special thing trying to cut down on all of that. So I want him to talk about that, what's going on with it. You can share with him when each one finishes. If you have some information to share or ask, you can do that. You all can share with the policeman if there's certain areas where it happens all the time and what time, because then they will know what to watch out for. Because if you wait until the time when it's happening and you call, by the time they get there, or if they can get over there, it's all over. But if it's something that happens in a pattern, I want you to share that with them and even call and share it. Instead of saying, if I call, they'll be gone by the time they get there. Yeah, but it helps them to put it in so that they can see where they need to start setting people up. So I do want you to do that. I have Mr. Honeysucker from Metro Water, who is always a welcome guest of ours. He is going to talk about the areas that you want to give. Let's see, bad areas. Oh, and he's going to talk a little bit about the water. You know, some people were afraid because we've had a change in the different floodings and when we get strong rains and everything. So if there's a particular area that is really, really bad and you've never turned it in, you may want to share that with him, and he'll share some information with you. And then he'll also share some information with you about the trash pickup, because that's always a concern as well. And then I will say anything else John wants to share, he's welcome to share. I thought I saw Mr. Freeze. I don't see the names now, but I have somebody from NDOT, which is our new transportation area. And they were going to actually share some information about that, because I always get questions about that light that we were supposed to see movement on in the next couple of months, the light at Hamilton Church and Mount View. So I want him to share about that, what's happening with that and the progress on that. And to, let's see, what else was he going to share? I'm trying to, have you ever had problems reading your own writing? I want him to share about the potholes. I hit a pothole, got a flat tire, had to buy a new tire. I had people call whose rims have gotten messed up by the potholes. The potholes in our area are ridiculous. So I want him to talk about that, what's happening with that, how you should report them. Don't just go over and say, oh, you need to do something about this. We need to report it. And how they are working with the state, because I know some state roads, like 24, is terrible with potholes, but I know that's a state road. I understand they have been working a little bit, trying to talk with the state to work with them on that as well. So I want him to talk about any of that. We also have Mr. Bill Penn from Codes, somebody from Codes here. And I would like for them to talk about what they really do and how do you report somebody. I've had people call me to say, my neighbor it's in a residential area, but they're running a business out of their home. We hear all this noise, this building is happening, and all of these cars are out there. So I want them to talk about if there is something that you think is a codes violation, that how do you report it? And I'm going to say at the end, if it doesn't take very long and you have some, you may want to report it while you have him here just give him the address and stuff about what it is so that you can see something happens with that. Then I have somebody from planning. Yeah, I did see, I saw her, Ms. McCraig, and she's going to talk a little bit about the planning process. And I want you all to share with her a little bit about our infrastructure out here and about how the building is going on out here. Some of us had a meeting with the vice mayor, and he had taken a trip through our community and did not realize we had so many things going up all at one time, which is going to expand the transportation out here like crazy. So you feel welcome to talk to her about that as well. And I don't know, Miss Bugs, are you here with us?
She isn't.
Is that a yes? We had asked Miss Bugs.
No. She will be later if she gets to join.
Okay, so she is representing the mayor's office. So I wanted somebody on here from the mayor's office to hear what some of our concerns are when we talk to folks and when we have questions, and when we talk to her to make sure he understands about our concern about the lack of infrastructure here, the lack of money going into this area as it appears sometimes to be going into other areas more, and how just saying more building will do tax money and we'll get more money out here doesn't work, because if we can't get out in our road because the traffic is so bad, then that doesn't help us. So I will start with the first one, and I named, I think, Mr. Hawks with the park. I will let him talk, but afterwards, if you all have questions or anything for each one, please go ahead and say that. If I don't see your hands or something and nobody's talking, just go ahead. All right. Thank you again for everybody being here, and friends of Mill Ridge Park. I'll let you go ahead and start off.
Good deal. Thank you, Councilmember Lee. It's good to be with you all again. It's been a while. It's been too long, so my apologies. I'm the director of Friends of Mill Ridge Park here in Antioch, and we have been operating here since January of 2018. Our mission is to enhance and advocate for Mill Ridge Park to strengthen our community here in Southeast Nashville. And we excitedly, with Councilmember Lee, the mayor, and others, broke ground on Mill Ridge Park back in June of last year, and have been anxiously counting down the days until we can cut the ribbon on what will be a 25-acre development at Mill Ridge Park, including a playground, a regional playground with adult fitness area, pavilions and gardens and trails and greenways, and a community festival lawn where we'll be gathering for festivities. Additionally, we are working on a trailhead that will complete later this year as well. And that trailhead will be at the Crossings Boulevard and Dana Way intersection, just off of Old Franklin Road. And once that's completed, we'll cut the ribbon there, and that will create access to some 5+ miles of nature trails across all of Mill Ridge Park. And speaking of all of Mill Ridge Park is in its total 622 acres of mostly undeveloped land, bordered by 24 Old Hickory Boulevard and Old Franklin Boulevard, just near Cane Ridge High School, in case some of you haven't been out on the land with us yet. To celebrate the completion of phase 1, which we expect will happen before the fall of this year, we're planning an event, and that event is to be called the Pear Jam. And we're envisioning this event, community-wide event, to be a pairing of live music and food, including pears from the orchard that we're operating with over 100 fruit trees these days, plus a lot of park activities and festivities, all for free to the community. And so look forward to more information coming out about Pear Jam later this year. In the meantime, we are hosting, as the councilwoman said, regular activities on the weekly basis for you all to come out and enjoy the nature, the parkland, to include our twice annual Kite Fest that kicks off this Saturday, April 9th, from 11 until 4. We're providing free kites, free picnic snacks, as well as kite flying tutorials for those of us who haven't flown kites in a while. And we look forward to having Hundreds of folks come out on each Saturday during April through the first Saturday of May. And so Kite Fest kicks off on this Saturday. On this Sunday, for instance, we have Dog Days, and that's a day where we invite you to come out and bring your dog or dogs on a leash. We'll have dog snacks and treats and games and takeaways or giveaways. Plus, we'll have on site a dog trainer from Agape Animal Rescue who will be providing free dog training exercises to you and your pets. And so that's on this Sunday from 11 to 4. Those are just two examples of the regular activities that we're doing. Others include the upcoming Outside Cinema. It's a free movie night on the park with a 24-foot inflated screen. We have park cleanups and book clubs. Later on in May, we have a stargazing night. We have yoga and meditation and guided walks and birding exercises, as well as the opportunity to participate in community gardening with the Nashville Food Project here on site. And then we have that orchard I mentioned where we're looking for regular volunteers to help us prune fruit trees and pick fruit. And those are just some. So for more information about those activities and that event that I mentioned coming up later this year, the Pear Jam, you can find us online at friendsofmillridgepark.org. We also are active on social media, including Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And my contact information is available on the website. And so I look forward to hearing from you by email or by phone with your questions and your ideas. And if you're interested in a tour of the parkland as a whole, or specifically of that phase 1 I'll be celebrating the grand opening for later this year, let me know. Look forward to answering your questions now and then seeing you outdoors at the park.
And Daryl, you might want to write your information in the chat too, so that they can get it off.
I'll do it right now. That's great.
Anybody have any questions or anything for Daryl?
I have one, if I may.
Please.
I was just wondering, will there be food trucks at these events?
We have, good question. We have had on one occasion, it was our Fall Fest of 2019, that we had folks come out for a celebration of the fall season, and we included some 4 or 5 local food trucks, and that was a good time, and we look forward to doing that again later this year to include at the Pear Jam. And so yes, look forward to food trucks coming our way.
Okay, I want to remind you, and I don't have the flyer for it. That's what I was looking for on my phone. I don't have the flyer for it, but you know our Easter egg hunt is this Saturday.
Yes.
That's going to be fantastic. So I hope you all come out up there where the library is, come out to that as well.
And we will be there flying kites to spread the word about the park and the Kite Fest. And if you see us at the egg hunt, come and say hello, because we'll have free kites to give away that have the Friends of Mill Ridge Park logo. So definitely see us at the egg hunt as well.
Great, great. All right, any other questions?
Or ideas?
Or ideas? Did you put your information in the chat room?
Well, I'm not seeing where the chat room is on my screen, but I'm looking.
Should be in the middle, and you may have to hit those dots. See the dots down there? Sometimes that gives you more. You may have to do that. Okay, any more questions? Let's go to, I'm not even going to try to, my Metro Police. Sergeant, are you on here? Sorry.
I am.
Thank you. I wasn't going to do that, right?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I was late. I was having a little difficulties logging on. But my name is Sergeant Denny Ismailovich. Denny's much easier. Commander Stevens couldn't make it, but I am the community coordinator. I know I've been to one of your meetings last year. So I appreciate you having me. So real quick, at District 33, just kind of a little bit of crime for this last month. We had no homicides, which is always really good. No commercial robberies, no street robberies, really good. We had 14 aggravated assaults. That's usually sometimes with domestic violence, sometimes obviously just people getting a fight. We had 1 commercial burglary, also pretty good. 2 residential burglaries. We had 3 motor vehicle thefts. And then probably the biggest number that's in this district and really probably in South Precinct, we have 15 theft from motor vehicles. So that's we've seen increase in that happening, and obviously we keep reminding people to lock their doors, don't leave valuables in. A lot of guns are stolen from cars. Like most of the guns that are stolen are usually people leave them in the cars. So we keep just reminding everybody, a car is not a gun safe. So, not leave it there. But we are doing park smarts. We are going around apartment complexes, neighborhoods, putting signs up, just kind of keeping people, but that's always a tough one because, we all know people are going to sometimes do what they want to do. So unfortunately, but that's the biggest one. I know in this district and South Precinct, drag racing is probably the biggest problem, biggest issue. I know we have restarted drag racing initiatives on Friday, Saturday nights. I know last year we were able to make several arrests, seize cars, obviously a lot of speeding tickets. One thing that's changed in the last couple of months for speeding, and I know that's probably number one complaint I get personally, is speeding everywhere in neighborhoods and South Precinct. And what they did last year, we had motor officers that were kind of centralized, and then we had to request them, and then they would have to come back. So now we have two motor officers, even though they don't work for me or Commander Stevens, they are actually assigned to South. So I directly emailed them and sent them text to enforce speeding and parking violations. That's also in neighborhoods a lot of problem, people parking illegally the wrong way. So I've seen that's been better because we can work faster in that aspect. But they are doing the racing and drag racing initiatives. So, because I know we stopped there for a little bit. I'm assuming a little bit budgetary reasons, but we are back to that. And we know in the summer that's going to increase, obviously. One new thing that there's a for Apple users, there's a MNPD police app, and so you can go on there. It's kind of like the dashboard that's on the website. People can see a lot of information what's related to the police. So that's a really good. If you have Apple, you can download the MNPD police app. So that's I think that just came out, and then. Another thing that's changed, our community engagement team, they were in just one area footprint, and they were down kind of in Chestnut Hill, which is pretty far from District 33. They've changed that. Now I have 6 officers that work directly for me. So what Commander Stevens, myself, we've kind of said, hey, South Precinct is much bigger than just one little area. They're needed to go everywhere else. So that's been happening, and they are dealing with quality of life. Any issues that I get, I send them, and that's been since February 28th. And we feel really good about that because we've been able to work with businesses, apartment complexes. So we feel that was the right step to kind of, they may not like it. They might get thrown around a little bit, but we feel it's the right thing. And we are at a lot of events. We've been at Thomas Edison. We are actually going to be at Thomas Edison Elementary School tomorrow. We're doing a carnival for the kids there, and we will be at the Easter egg hunt, where we'll have goodie bags. We'll have our Sky Cop mounted, and then myself, Commander Stevens, and our CE team will be there as well. So I don't want to take up much time, but quickly, if anyone has questions, please go ahead.
Tanya, I see that you just wrote a lot and then it disappeared. Do you want to share that? Where is it? Please feel free to share it because I can't pull it up again.
And I'll stay on the entire time. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free.
She just wrote something and she said, yes, she wanted to share it. So go ahead, Ms. Tanya.
You might need to read it, council lady. I'm not sure if she's mute. She shows muted.
Miss Rosie, if you can read it, if she doesn't come on.
Okay. Says I want to discuss the traffic problems on Murfreesboro Pike near the Rutherford County line. I have spoken to many officers, sergeants, and the non-emergency number numerous times over the last 15 years. The traffic backs up. The traffic backs up during the rush hour, and then when the interstate gets shut down, as of today, we have gridlock in that area, and the very dangerous problem I have spoken about so many times is about the numerous people that will speed down the middle lane when the traffic is backed up. Many accidents have ended up on my garden center property, and with the speeding, our mailbox gets knocked down several times a week. I have offered to let officers sit on my property during the rush hours times and any time to give tickets and help deter the people using the turning lane as a racetrack.
Yeah, I know her area is, she's got a little garden shop. Like if you are leaving our area going towards Laverne, it'll be on your left. It's a little small place over there. So.
Okay, and now I'm writing it down now, and I think Miss Tanya, I put my information in the chat, so please email me, and I will make sure I'll send our motor officers there. I mean, obviously, you know, when it's something like today, when a interstate shuts down, I mean, obviously, you know, officers are probably out there as well. You know, I think we all know that we are short-staffed, and you know, rush hour is the busiest time. So obviously, we'll do our best to get there, but you know, something we understand. Murfreesboro is a very busy road, but you know, in South you have Murfreesboro, you have Bell Road, you have Nolansville. They're all, I mean, very congested roads. But if you send it to me, and I know we've said this now at the garden shop, I will make sure that I send this to motors officers and set up some extra patrols in the rush hour, and maybe even, you know, send it to the drag racing initiative, Lieutenant Gilliland. So, but yeah, anytime you have anything, please contact me directly, because it will go through me, and I'm the one that would kind of send resources that way. So please send it to me, and yeah, we'll do our best.
And I have heard a lot about Murfreesboro Road. She sent something that said it happens all day. So I think that's a totally bad area, Murfreesboro Road, especially going through that way. So when you're looking at the areas that are bad for speeding and stuff, that should be one of the ones that's down there as well. She says it's during rush hour, they get in that center lane and they are just speeding.
Council lady, this is Gilda again. So I live right around the corner from the shop that's in question, around the garden shop. So yes, it is very bad there, and I think also one of the contributing factors is the fact that there's no what's the word I want to use? The lights are not synced between Davidson County and Rutherford County. So it would be nice if we could get Waldron Road traffic light to sync with the light at NHC or Life Care, whatever that nursing home is there, just below me at Hickory Woods. It would be so nice to get these traffic lights. There's like several traffic lights, and they don't sync. And so it in addition to Murfreesboro Pike being used to handle traffic when there are accidents on interstate, then the traffic lights do not sync. Thank you.
I think our person from NDOT is wanting to make a conversation around that too. So Brad, I don't know if you want to do it now, you want to wait until it's your turn and put all of it in there, what you want to do.
Whichever you prefer, Councilmember. I can address that now, or I can wait till later.
Okay, well, Why don't you put it all together and do it all, because then they may have other questions about stuff you're gonna say. Just don't forget it. Because I have heard that about the syncing up of the lights as well. Okay, thank you so very much. Mr. John, you next.
Good afternoon, everybody. You know, it's always a true joy to come to District 33 and have a great time laughing with everyone. My name is John Honeysucker. I'm the Assistant Director of Waste Services. I do represent the Waste and Recycle Division and also the Metro Water side. So I wear a couple of hats there. So, Councilor, you did mention a couple of things that you wanted me to discuss, and if you don't mind, can you kind of recap that for me? So I don't want to overlook anything that you had mentioned.
It was just the water if there, and I want them to share if there's some special places, because there's some places in 33 when we have rain that the water just flows across the road. So it's more than just rain. We think it may have something about the way the land was graded or something. I don't know that kind of stuff, but that what to do or who to call if they have big problems with that when it rains, and if you have any areas that you know get special problems like that, to be looking out, because you all always have to go to that. And then an update on the trash.
Okay, so when you have concerns like that from flood water with the area, it's always good to, of course, report it to HUB, because the HUB Nashville keeps a track of that, and we like to know exactly what's going on in the district. But also call our dispatch department. I'm sorry about that. Call our dispatch department and report those type of things immediately, and we'll have a team. We'll dispatch someone to come out. Now, please keep in mind that when it's a huge rain occurrence going on within the city, we have teams that are out all across the city. So if they don't get out there in the first few minutes or so, just allow them the time to get out there to look, see what's going on. But I do want to encourage each and every one of you, when things like this occur, even if it's not a severe rain event, it's always good to still report it through Council Lady Lee. Let her know what's going on with those type of events. So even if it's not raining that hard, we can investigate what's going on. Sometimes it's impacted by just the climate change, also development within the community that can also change and reroute some things that causes a different impact on certain properties or where it's located. As you know, it's such a substantial growth in the Southeast area. These things have been happening on a regular occurrence. So please make us aware of this. It's important that we come out and investigate that in order to help you to maintain the value of your property. Now, in regards to trash, we have been making really to make sure that we get this situation with Red River under control. They are still, in fact, I was in court today. There's still ongoing litigation with Red River in regards to whether they'll keep their contract or the courts will allow the city to break the contract with them. We do have other contractors in that are currently picking up the Southeast area that does receive the trash pickup from Red River. As you know, Southeast was greatly impacted by their negligence of not picking up. So when there was an opportunity for me to make a change and get someone else in there, the first area I said was, let's take the Southeast quadrant and put the contractors there to make sure that they are picking up. Now, with all that being said, there are some issues still going on with the backdoor service that we are trying to work out. It has been ongoing. As of last month, we had about 7,653 complaints of missed trash in last month. This month, we're under 1,000. So that's a substantial decrease. Now, I'm not looking for accolades on that, but I would better that number. I want us to get that number down even further. So we're going to work diligently to get that number down as much as we can. And I did put my information in the chat. It's john.honeysucker@nashville.gov. If you have any concerns in regards to needing someone to come out and investigate a stormwater issues or concerns, or if issues with trash, emissions, anything like that, please reach out to me. But I also, please copy Council Lady Lee on the communication. She holds us as servants of the city accountable for anything that we do. So please, 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 you know I'll be on the next meeting if you don't. So please, let us know. Are there any questions for me? This is the first time I have never received a question, so do we have to go down and just pick on people and everybody?
No, that's all right. We don't have time for that. I love you though, John. I love you though, John.
All right. Thank you all.
I do want to thank you so very much. You're always wonderful. I do want to put something out right quick to before I go down to NDOT, go back to Sergeant Denny. I got something. Sometimes we may forget about it because they're kind of almost backing up to Wilson County, but Carruthers Farms. I know I had put in to try to look at some kind of traffic calming in that area, but somebody put up in the chat because that's also a cut through way. And it comes in straight and there's a stop sign further in, but people fly in there. So the traffic, the speeding down there is terrible as well. So if you all think about that, I'm sorry, go ahead, David.
Really interrupting. I'm so sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I'm Amy Braswell, and I am the resident that just posted that. I've been in this community now for 5 years, and Antoinette, I believe I've spoken with you in the years past. It's terrible. I mean, like, I'm not someone to raise Cain, but this is just, it's awful. And we've tried multiple ways to we've put the little people, like the little signs that say, please slow down, you know, nothing works. And like Antoinette said, it is a cut through street. It turns from Carruthers to Grace Point, and then you come to the 4-way stop, and then it goes back to Carruthers. And you know, about 2-3 weeks ago when 24 shut down, right there between Waldron, I would probably say we had 20,000 cars come through our neighborhood, and then the semi trucks screwed up our that 4-way stop. They ran over the edges of the curbs, so now we've got these big old holes. And I mean, I understand that probably that's not something we can do. We can't cut that street off, but if we could at least have patrol there, officers at least taking, you know, they've done the radar, they put the radar there, that doesn't do anything. Like, I feel like if we could have a police presence, especially during the rush hour traffic, it'd be so helpful. And one of the biggest culprits is the UPS trucks. They fly down our street because of Laverne has that distribution center right there off Waldron Road. So I just had to jump on because it's just something I walk every day with my dog, and I'm in risk management. that's my trade here, you know. So every day when I watch these people fly down, I'm like, someone is eventually going to get hurt, and it's been going on for so long, and they fly. So I'm sorry, didn't mean to get on the soapbox.
No, that's okay. I really appreciate that, Amy. Thank you so very much. And as we go to NDOT next, I hope Mr. Freeze also heard that, because I know I have put in and requested some of those little flat little things that go down to put there. I've requested that before, and I know once I was told, well, we don't have any of those. And then I was told by somebody else, I saw some in the back of the building, they had it. So I know I was trying to get some things to be put on that road that would help with it. But if you put that area down, it really needs some work with traffic calming. And then I'll just turn it over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I recorded that information, and I'm going to be reaching out to you, Councilmember Lee, to make sure we have an application on file for that location. But yeah, we do have a traffic calming program where we can start to deploy measures to try to mitigate the speeding and the cut through traffic. There's also other things that we can try to do. Sorry.
And while you said that, let me interrupt 1 second. While you said that, Amy, go tell everybody in your neighborhood to go to the hub and put in an application for traffic calming. Okay.
We did do it. We did it a year ago.
Okay.
Yep, but go do it again. We got some new people in, and we got a new department, and we got everything. So email them and tell them do it again.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, and I'll put my contact information. Amy, if you can email me. I just put it in the chat box. You can email me too direct to check on that and your existing application in there, and I can give you information as far as speed studies that have been done on there and where it is. I mean, we do 50 a year currently based on our funding level. We do that biannually, so we put out 25 projects each in the summer, and then in the fall we put out 25 projects. So So yes, I'll just reach out to me by email and we'll talk about it. But yeah, there are things in addition. The cut through traffic is a concern too when you have major incidents in there. And there's ways that we can try to work with a lot of times you have all these crowdsource applications. I'm sure you're familiar with Waze and Google and things like that will direct people down routes that we do not want them to go. And so we're trying to mature our relationship with these like Waze and these crowdsource data providers in there, and we had a lot of luck in Memphis. I used to work for the Tennessee Department of Transportation, so we had the Memphis bridge closure last year that we had to go through, and we had a lot of luck working with Waze and Google and getting a partnership developed with them to where we could actually have them put virtual closures and other strategies where they trick their algorithm that they use not to direct people to take that route cut through. So there's things that we can do, but yeah, please reach out to me by email, Amy, and we can talk more about it. Council member, you asked for an update on Mountain View and Hamilton Church. So good news on that. We have the polls. The polls were the longest lead time. I'm serious. It's been taking 8 to 10 months to get signal polls because of how long it takes to get steel and distribution. We have the polls in our yard. So I remember I promised last time that you'll see, dirt being turned and work being going on in 2 months. I'm still feeling good about that 2-month time frame from the last time that you'll actually see work going on. So things are looking good. It's very, very positive. That is going to happen. Believe me, it is going to happen, and you are going to see a signal at that location. So I'm excited that we have the signal poles. That's always been the critical path, is to get those steel poles. So we got those. So the next question you wanted me to address was the pothole. So the best way to report a pothole is through, I think, Assistant Director Honeysucker mentioned this. The Hub Nashville is our best conduit for the information, but you can also use 311. 311 is the dial-in number for the Hub to report that. So Philip Jones, he's our Assistant Director over Operations. We're very proud of our response time when it comes to potholes on our streets, on the streets that Nashville maintains. Right now, we're looking. He really strives to get a 24-hour response time. Our maximum response time right now on average is 3 days, but he feels a lot of times we can get to it within 24 hours for potholes. In addition, working with TDOT, in coordination with them, we share all those requests to TDOT directly. So the Hub Nashville requests we get on their routes, we share with them and get forwarded over to them, so they know where it is and they can get out there and address it too. I know there's been a lot of potholes this year. We've had a lot of freezing and thawing out there, and that causes a lot of problems with the pavement, where you have those potholes pop up. But please give us that information through Hub Nashville when you see one, and we're on it. We're on it, looking out there to repair those potholes. So the last thing, and we talked about this earlier, and I wanted to talk about Murfreesboro Road and the congestion that you see on that side of town, especially when you have something happen on the interstate. So wanted to update you. We have recently been awarded funding. We were awarded $3.2 million from the DOT. That's a congestion mitigation air quality grant that we got, but we were funded to build our traffic management center. So we are building our traffic management center up. So what that is going to allow us to do more of is be more proactive when it comes to when there's a full closure on the interstate or any type of incident on the interstate. So we can be proactive in syncing those signal times that you're talking about, those signal times not being synced. We're actually building up our network. We have a challenge in Metro with a communication network that we have with our signals. We have mixed communication. We have copper communication out there. We have wireless communication. We have a bundle of different ways we communicate with our signals. So we are actually investing in funding to actually upgrade our communication to all those signals. So we can be more proactive in how we change signal timing and be reactive to major incidents and support support efficient flow of traffic in there when you have these situations when you have diversions off the freeway, where we can actually queue up different response plans to actually try to flush traffic through, to try to encourage good movement of traffic during those situations. But that's something, Murfreesboro Pike is a road that we're really focused on specifically as far as the upgrade of that signal technology. So just wanted to provide, that's what I wanted to update everyone, council member, on that's something that I'm really excited about, but we're working really hard on.
Okay, can I ask, can I intervene here, or
Absolutely.
whatever, say something anyway? Yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. So, will this, we have problems on a regular basis with
Right.
Murfreesboro Pike on my end, when it, comes to the Rutherford County, side and Davidson County side. So will the investment of these dollars also help with, just even the regular traffic that backs up all the way down to the
Yes.
past the garden center? Will it help with
So,
that
yeah.
as well?
So we will have 24/7, we will have monitoring. We will have people in the TMC watching traffic, watching congestion as it builds, and looking to be proactive in how we address those situations. So yes, we will be working to improve holistically throughout the entire system. In addition, we will be working with our partnering agencies like Rutherford County, Murfreesboro. They have a TMC, so we'll have center to center communication with them. So we're working when there are those lines and you're going between one county to the next county. In there, we will be working really hard to make sure we're on top of it and monitoring the system.
Great. Any other questions? I love it. And I know you hear my baby barking in the background. So I'm going to say, don't forget, if you talk, to turn to mute yourself. Did I see somebody getting ready to sit up for a question? No. Okay. So then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Penn. Metro Codes, are you on there?
Lady Lee, I am Monica Bishop. I am here for Bill Penn. I am the red team chief. So Bill Penn is our boss, and then the county is split into two halves, and basically the Cumberland is the dividing line, and the blue team chief is north, and I'm the red team chief, which is south. So District 33 falls into our district. So I'm attending on his behalf.
Thank you. I didn't realize.
Yeah, so any issues that anybody has in this area, your entire district falls under red team. So any of those issues we would have. So basically, I don't know, he didn't give me a list of talking points, so I figured that I would talk about the things that we most commonly see in this area. As we all know, the grass is growing. So if you have any complaints with your neighbor not mowing your grass, just to remind everybody that it's 12 inches. They get over 12 inches, then we would advise you to call Hub Nashville, or you can call us, and you can just go ahead and call in like you used to do, or you can go through Council Lady Lee. Another thing that codes handles is, or our section of codes handles, is inoperable vehicles. If your neighbor's got junk vehicles, they got a lot of garbage and trash in their yard, they have a fence that's half falling down, they have an exterior of their house isn't maintained, their gutters are falling off. These are just some examples of some of the things that we see mostly in residential neighborhoods. We also go a little bit into the commercial neighborhoods. If you see businesses popping up that you're not sure if they're permitted, we can look into any of that. Or if you see somebody in your neighborhood running a business out of their home that you're not certain that they can do, we can also address any of that. That's what we most commonly see in District 33. But if anybody has any questions, just let me know. I know it can get confusing as to what metro agency handles what. And we pretty much have a pretty good working relationship with each other. I know Sergeant Islamovic and I talk almost all the time, or we email frequently. If something gets sent to him and it's codes, or vice versa, if it gets sent to codes and it's police, we kick it back and forth to each other. Sometimes we work on things together. So we pretty much have a decent handle on who needs to do what. So if you're not sure who you need to speak to, send it into Hub Nashville, and we'll route it to where it needs to go. Even if you select the wrong thing, every agency has people that can filter through it, and they think, oh, okay, this isn't NDOT, this is really codes. They can make sure it gets to us, because it does get confusing. There's a lot to it. Did you have any
Great.
other concerns, Council Lady Lee?
What I'm hearing is if somebody calls me about a codes problem, instead of me, because I always tell them put it in the hub, but if it's something we need to do really fast, I need to call Monica Bishop because she's
Yes,
on
you
top of
can.
the red team, and the red team is in our area.
Yes, yeah, and several of the council people I speak to several of the ones in the South on a regular basis. Council Lady Johnston, Joyce Stiles, Council Lady Vercher, Russ Bradford, all of the South ones. So feel free to call or email me at any point in time, and we can do it. We can answer you directly. Even though if you want to send it through Hub, that's fine. But if you want to get an update on it personally more quickly, just shoot me an email, and I will be glad to get back with you on that.
I will do that, and I appreciate this because so many times all the different departments I don't have, especially since y'all changed, I don't have the one person. John knows.
Okay,
I'm
the one person over District 33. So yeah, I would be the one person. And Bill Penn is my direct supervisor, but I supervise all the inspectors in the South.
Okay, I have got it. So I know I have gotten questions before on zoning and codes and different things like that. So nobody here has a question that they need to ask or give an address where somebody is doing something that you know isn't supposed to be happening.
I got my paper ready. I'm ready. If we need to. Well, if you don't think of it right, because I'm sure there's something. There always is.
Yes.
The best thing to do is, if the way that our system works, we need a direct address. So if you can, the best thing to do is find the direct address. We can figure it out. When I was an inspector, I always had the South, so I'm pretty familiar with it. But it's ideal if you have the direct address. If you just have an intersection, though, we can try to help you. But it's most helpful to do. I think Hub requires you to have the exact address, or they can't take it in. So just get a direct address. Like I said, I put in the chat, I put my email and my phone number. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to do that, or contact Council Lady Lee. You feel free to contact me directly. Like I said, I speak to several council people on the daily, pretty much. So it seems like codes and police pretty popular here nowadays.
I might email you and get that, so I'll know who to call, because I do not see it in the Hub.
Okay.
But
let me see. I'll send it back through on the chat so that you have all my information.
Okay.
Like I said,
I'll just email you, because I think after this is over, the chats leave.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't have time to sit there and write it. So I'll email you, and then you can send it to me. And then I'll send you
Monica Bishop at Nashville.gov.
Well. Yes, ma'am. No questions for codes? All right. Thank you so very much, Monica.
You're welcome.
You're saying that now, but wait till I keep calling you.
All my regret it later. That's okay.
So is that Miss Anita that Miss Anita who just popped on?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I just turned my camera on. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm gonna. This is planning, and we want to kind of talk about infrastructure and the whole planning process, because a lot of people think that once a developer goes through planning, then that says it's okay, but it's not. And you may want to hear some from them about what's in this area. I don't know if you were on when I told you a group of us had a meeting with the vice mayor, and he drove through you also. I won't repeat myself. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to you then. Thank you.
Sure. Councilmember, earlier you'd asked me if I'd kind of hit the basics of the rezoning process from the planning department's perspective. And so, we field dozens of questions every day about, what can I do with my property? I got this idea. Can I do this? And, every piece of property in Davidson County has got two things on it. It's got zoning, which is what you're legally entitled to do with that piece of property. And then it's got land use policy, which is the long range vision. So when you hear people talk about Nashville Next, community plans, the kind of long range plans, that's what they're talking about, policy. So the first thing our folks will do when it's like, hey, I own this house and I want to open up a coffee shop in it. Can I do that? The first answer to that question may be, they'll look up your existing zoning, so what you're legally entitled to do, and it's like, hey, that, you know, you're mixed use, so you can do that already, and you leave the planning department folks and go talk to the codes department about what requirements you have from their perspective. And so the second answer to that question may be, well, you don't have the zoning that lets you do that today, but let's check the long range land use policy and see if that allows it. So yeah, you know, it's a neighborhood center. So it's a possibility, not guaranteed, possibility to open up your coffee shop. And so you have to go through the process of, you can file for rezoning, but you've got to go through the review process with Metro departments. The third answer to that question is no, the long range policy doesn't allow it. And so you really got to spend some time then from a property owner reflecting on if you want to try to amend the land use policy and rezone, or what you need to do. But when people decide that, yes, we do want to rezone, you know, if they haven't talked to the council member yet, sometimes people come to us first just to see if something's even possible. Sometimes they go to the council member first. And so we always say, you know, have you spoken with the council member yet? If not, please do. Have you talked with the neighbors around the property where you want to rezone? If not, please do. And especially if that rezoning gets more complex, you know, especially if you're trying to rezone something large, a lot of times a development team will have numerous meetings with a neighborhood association and the council member before they ever file any applications. And that's the, you know, the way to go about it from our perspective. You know, the more conversations that occur before applications are officially filed, the better. Once somebody officially files an application, though, that's when the different Metro departments really weigh in. Like a development team may have a lot of questions, and they may contact Brad over at NDOT, and they may talk to Water Services and Stormwater, and they may talk to me at Planning. But it's not an official review where you've got a group of people sitting down necessarily and giving comments and officially reviewing it until an application's filed. And so, you know, that can take anywhere from 6 weeks for something simple to get in front of our body, the Planning Commission, 10-member, a volunteer group that makes a recommendation to Metro Council on rezonings, or it could take years. Depends on how many complexities have to go through. So once, you know, you'll see signs go up, and you might get a notice that says, hey, this item is scheduled for public hearing at the Planning Commission. You get a chance to have some voice there. Hopefully, as I said, you've already had voice in the development process with the team and through your council member. You know, hopefully they've reached out and talked about it. And then the Planning Commission makes a recommendation, as I said, to Metro Council, and then it goes through 3 readings at Metro Council with a second public hearing to provide input. And like I said, sometimes it takes, you know, several years. When something is rezoned, it also means, as the council member said, development doesn't happen right away. You know, sometimes for various reasons, sometimes, you know, it takes years for something to be developed. So sometimes something's just coming out of the ground with things. So, you know, now Metro has done a good job of consolidating information where you can check, you know, building permits on the Nashville.gov website. You know, you can check rezoning cases on Development Tracker on Planning's website. That's always a good idea, because even if you get a notice that an item is scheduled for public hearing at Planning Commission, always check and make sure, if you want to speak about that item, always double check the date of and make sure that that item is on the agenda before you head downtown to the Planning Commission meeting. So that's it in a nutshell. And we've got a lot more information on our website about the process and how to go about it.
Did anybody have any questions or comments or anything for Ms. McCrae? I think sometimes people think that just because a developer goes in front of planning and planning says, okay, so what you have done will go there. So it's like we approve it, but that doesn't mean you approve for it to, that it's going to be there. It just means, and correct me if I'm wrong, it just means for all the things that they have to do in order to put it there, they have done.
They have approvals to do it, right? It doesn't mean that it's like, oftentimes, like for a rezoning, you may see a lot of department comments in there, like, you know, you must submit a grading plan to Metro Stormwater, you must do a list of things, conditions from NDOT. So there are a lot of conditions that a developer has to meet, sometimes bonds for, street work and that type of stuff. So there's a lot of checklists that happen after the case. And I have one very hyper puppy here. Somebody wants to put him in timeout. He slept while everyone else was talking and then has decided that he needs mama's attention now. So
I understand. Okay, so we just have a couple of minutes left, but it looks like everybody who was on here is still on here. So as we talk, does anybody have any questions for anyone?
This is Larry Price. We have development upon development occurring without improvement to infrastructure. And we have roads that used to be farm patch roads. How is it that Metro Planning can approve a development, say, on Mount View Road, no issues, and then 2 months later approve another development on Mount View Road or on Anderson Road or on any other of these 2-lane roads that we have without more concern about the infrastructure? And when it doesn't meet the guidelines of the current policy, you all change the policy.
I hear you, Larry, on your concern about development after development and where's infrastructure improvements and things. There's a lot of different things that planning considers and other metro departments consider, and some of it are probably outdated metrics that we don't necessarily should be, using, or maybe we need newer tools. We used to use like level of service of roads and different things like that. But as we all know, I live here in Antioch, so I know that 24 is a parking lot, and I know, I sit on Murfreesboro Pike, and so I totally understand. And so I think we've got to get a handle on some things, and that's yet another reason we're very excited about NDOT and our partnership with NDOT. The long range planning folks had a transportation team that was part of our team that now has moved over to NDOT. And so we really hope to continue that relationship. But whether it's requiring more traffic impact studies from developers, holding people more accountable for a road network, improving a road network, oftentimes it's not enough just to add a turn lane. We're looking at a whole system-wide improvement, such as, what kinds of mobility options do people have? Is there transit available? Does everyone, how can we get more cars off the road during peak travel times and either stagger travel times or offer more mobility options? So it's challenging. Everyone knows, I think you've probably heard Metro folks talk about it. We went decades there where sidewalks weren't a priority, through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where transit wasn't a priority, where the methodology was, the strategy was, let's just widen roads to accommodate more traffic, and we're in another realm now where we've got to come up with some more creative solutions and everything for that. So not an easy answer. It's certainly not one that people want to hear. I know one thing we can help do, though, is prioritize. Like, I know that everyone says, well, Murfreesboro Road's awful. I get it. But what are some of the other streets that are more priorities for people, and I know there's a lot of development pressure, like on Burkett Road, roads that operate, to me, look like rural roads, but they're handling a lot of traffic nowadays as well.
Anita, there was money allocated in the 2021 capital spending plan specifically for infrastructure study for the Southeast area. What is the status of that? I'm not seeing any result.
Right.
How do we find out what's going on with that?
Sure. Yeah. Let me get we have certainly talked about hiring a consultant, developing a project scope and hiring a consultant. I don't know the definitive answer, Larry, but I think that it is in the queue and we're just hashing out other project scopes ahead of it before we get to it, but I can try to find out where that is. I know it's still on a list because I just saw it a couple weeks ago and talked about, once again, I reinforced to my team the need for that. So
Yeah,
I know it's
and
still on the
it's
list.
already, in a sense, we were looking at that as a need for the 2022-2023 capital spending plan, but it was already funded 2 years ago.
Right.
But what is happening with that? We're sitting out here kind of suffering, and frankly, we don't feel that planning is coordinated. Between infrastructure and the zoning request,
Mhm.
rezoning request, and our lives, we're paying higher taxes, 34% more this year, and our quality of life is going down the drain.
Right. I do know that one reason now that those studies, like a transportation network and mobility study, didn't move forward was the pandemic. Nobody wanted people necessarily out there doing traffic counts and all that when people weren't on the roads. So I do know, that was one thing that could have held it up from the 2021 CIB. But absolutely. And I just want to reiterate though that it is it's a lot of different metro departments that weigh in on this, and I hear you about the need for coordination and really working. We
But the
did
money,
try.
but that money was specifically allocated to the planning department. So I'm putting
Right,
both
right,
you
for us
and
to, right, no, for
Councilmember
the
Lee
study.
on notice
Yes,
to follow up on this and to
right,
monitor this closely, because
okay,
we're suffering.
right.
Okay, and I heard that you said you'd get back with him, you'd find that out and get back to us. So maybe on another meeting, you can bring that to us as well. But I saw Amy has her hand up, and Mr. Brading, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Ed, and it may be a question to go along with what Larry was saying.
Yeah, this is Amy. I actually just had a question when Anita was speaking about Burkett Road. That was another concern of mine. Obviously, development is going up left and right. Regent specifically, is really kind of taken over Burkett. And was just curious, what are the plans for Burkett? Because you're absolutely right, Anita, in that it's a windy 2-lane road that's being treated like a four-lane road. Love to know what's going on with plans on that.
I do know, that various developments will have to do some infrastructure improvements as they come in. I think overall, we've got the major and collector street plan that outlines what each roadway should look like in an ideal condition. Like, you are suburban in character, you've got X amount of lanes that are this wide, different things like that. But I think, I really think, back to Larry's point, we've been saying now for a few years that Southeast really needed that multimodal comprehensive traffic study to figure this out, because if you make improvements, just to Burkett in isolation, then that puts more pressure on some of the other roads, or more pressure on roads off Burkett and things. So I know from my perspective, I've been wanting to see the transportation study, mobility study, to really know like what we should be doing, because another challenge we have is, as you get into suburban areas, you don't have as many roads connect as you do in urban areas. And so people, on the one hand, folks, don't necessarily want to live on a cut through street, and like living on more isolated streets where they don't deal with cut through traffic. But from a mobility network, then that puts more pressure on just a handful of roads. And so then you've really got the traffic jams going on. And so how do you complement a suburban area's character, not making too many street connections, but what are the most strategic street connections you can make to really get some mobility going and ease some pressure on other points? So Amy, you can email me and we can get you some more details about Burkett.
Okay, great. Thank you, Anita.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ed?
Yes, Anita, developers have a threshold beyond which number of units they have to do a traffic study. If I do a small amount of development and David does a small amount of development and Diane does a small amount of development and John Honeysucker does a small amount of development and Brad Freeze does a small amount of development, it all adds up and suddenly you've got a large development. It's just spread out about amongst a lot of people doing pockets. What is there, or I should say, is there a process within Metro that when they see a problem like this building where the sands keep building and building and building one grain at a time, does Metro have the ability to just, apart from the comprehensive big plan you're talking about, does Metro have the ability to say, well, enough is enough. We, Metro, are going to do a study in this area because we can't make everybody do one, but we need to do one. Is that mechanism there, or should that mechanism be there, or can that mechanism be put there?
Yeah, we do have a little bit of flexibility. I think maybe Brad could speak to if there is a process, but it's my understanding that we've got some flexibility in when we can ask for a traffic impact study, or at least a transportation study like that, when we can ask somebody for it. It doesn't, the rules are there, absolutely, Ed, as you mentioned, for a certain threshold and everything. But I think we do have a little flexibility to ask somebody. But absolutely, when we see, Metro can ask a developer or development team to do one, or we can do like the Southeast study. We can put it in the CIB. Now that sometimes can take more time. But back to Larry's point about, I know from some people's standpoint, it may look like zoning changes all the time and land use policy changes all the time. You want things to be somewhat dynamic and not be static and necessarily just frozen in time. We don't change land use policy willy-nilly. There is a process for that with public participation. And what the public does not see are all the people that we say no to every day. That we say, no, that won't work. And like just in the last couple weeks, we've actually said no to 3 land use policy changes because it would trigger that large network, like a much larger study, and the person didn't want to go through that, and so that's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that that everybody doesn't see. And believe it or not, we do say no to things in Southeast. I know it doesn't seem that way from the community's perspective and with all the development going on. I think that's twofold too, because I think people see the cases that somebody has rezoned through the planning department and Metro Council and the public process, but then they also see all the new buildings going up from just somebody going and pulling building permits. And so then, that doubles people's impact about, oh my gosh, there's this much traffic on here and there's this many new people. But with as hot as the city is right now and the build and boom that's going on, I think oftentimes, Metro gets blamed for things that we certainly have our share that people can fuss at us and blame us about. But then there's that other bucket that we don't control.
Hey, Anita, can you hear me? This Brad, I was just gonna follow up there and support you on that. So yeah, we do have that flexibility when we approve the SPs as far as development in there. So we work hand in hand with planning on all these reviews. So looking at the greater context of all these developments together adding up, yes, that is a part of the consideration. But I will say that we do need to work with planning on doing these larger context studies, multimodal studies. And I know that we have recently reached out and talked to planning about this and moving forward with different pieces and parts of that plan. So yeah, there is movement in that space.
All right. So we have only gone 10 minutes over our time. I want to thank you, everyone. I try to have these meetings like every couple of months, the ones where we get all of the divisions so that we can hear what's going on. So I hope next time we have one of these, you will make sure to join in. I don't know if you got an email about it, if that's how you knew about it, or you saw a posting someplace. If you did not get the email and you are not on my email list, Rosie, I don't know if you can type your Roseanne Hayes. Roseanne.hayes@nashville.gov is the person that you would email with your contact information, and she will put you in the District 33. Oh, she was fast. Look, she did it already. And she'll put you in the 33, my database where we send out emails. Right now, I have a Facebook page right now because Facebook is going through this new security thing that I've tried to get on. I can't get on Facebook. So we are posting things to District 33 and I think the Southeast and someplace else. But whenever we have major things, we always send an email out on it. So that's how you know. I'm looking out my window. It looks like the wind is blowing a little bit. So make sure that you all are safe. Stay warm. The temperature has changed out there. I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing this and sharing your ideas. I will tell you again, look really close. If you needed to get somebody's information out of the chat, roll up and get that now, because once this whole thing goes off, the chat thing goes away, so you won't be able to get it. I want to thank all of those from Metro that were here to bring us information. I really appreciate you all so very much. I'm trying to draw it out, so if you had to go copy something down, you can have time to get it before we close. But I'm going to say thank you. Have a good night. And Ms. Liz, now you can just go on and lean back on that comfy couch and take care.
Oh, I am.
You all have a good night. Thank you so much.
You too.
Good night,
Take care.
everybody.
Good night.